guys, nothing is going to happen to Diddy. He'll sit in jail for like a day and then it'll be done with, and something else in the media will happen. And
the other thing is like saying maybe they're putting this stuff out there to know this is happening, seeing what people's reaction is, and that he's actually not dead. He's still orchestrating everything that's behind the scenes. He's on an island. He's on his island. He doesn't give a shit, right? It's very plausible that Epstein is still alive. Is still doing this. It could also be very plausible that the tapes will go missing, and all of a sudden Diddy might be dead, and him and Michael Jackson are hanging out somewhere, right? You're asking why they do this. I'll give it to you. You'll become famous overnight. All you need to do is and one guy starts laughing. He goes, and Matt's already on his knees, and he's gone publicly to say that Matt was giving oral sex.
Allegedly.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the DC Talks podcast with...
High five from back here.
High five, DC. Right? It's crazy how we're all wearing black for this episode, right? I think it's very indicative of...
Well, only two of us were in the cool DC logo, but hey.
I didn't have any DC merch. I can put on some gloves.
There you go.
You know, that DC merch actually comes in pretty clutch
you.
Because during the winter, like that scarf, like when I'm going out, I just...
Elise doesn't have one yet. I have to bring Elise a scarf, and I'm supposed to bring her one of these mugs too.
I have a toque.
You do have
a
a toque.
toque.
And even the socks too. Very cozy.
Okay.
Wait until I get you thermal underwear.
Oh,
Tracksuits.
You're adding... Well, what new additions are you adding this Christmas, by the way?
Well, that's going to be a secret, so we're waiting for the Christmas party.
Is it?
You'll see him December 1st.
At the View?
Don't forget, December 1st.
He has patches that he can put on anything that you have. So
Oh, wow.
we can make phone cases. We can
we
do
do
it all.
You know, DC, you're always like pushing the envelope and what you're doing with your brand. It's very cool to see.
Nice, right?
Yeah. But, you know, as going on the whole thing while wearing black, like I think this is like, you know,
An
the
omen.
funeral, an omen to Diddy, to what is about to happen. So if you're living under a rock right now, everyone, you already know what's going on in the Hollywood elites and celebrity world. Diddy is under a lot of fire of what's been happening. And this has been going on for decades now, and it's come to light. And, you know...
Well, it's always been to light, but I don't think people believe that, right?
I mean, I think with everything that's happening, he's
we heard
exposed.
stories before his former bodyguard telling him like he'd have go into hotels with random men or like these artists, and he'd have a suitcase full of sex toys, and they'd be up there having sex with, like, he would force them, but these, you know, young impressionable artists, black artists, and he would like have sex with them all. And it was like, well, that could happen. Or
He
like,
had free reign.
well, yeah, he was doing whatever he wanted. Good friends with Ellen DeGeneres, another
Everybody.
piece of shit, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I said I can't stand Ellen DeGeneres. I think she's the scum of the earth.
Phony. I always found her like very like, I'm like forced. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Forced.
Yeah, definitely forced smiles.
Yeah.
And
But if you don't know what's going
She had
on,
she had Anne Hesh killed too. Oh, sorry. Ellen DeGeneres. She was going to come. Well, remember her former lover, right? Her former wife.
Truthfully, I don't know that much about her.
sorry.
She's always rubbed me the wrong way, so I've just never really paid attention to her.
Sorry. So we're going to talk about Diddy
Going
today,
off
guys.
let's talk about Diddy. We're going to give our perspectives. Of course, like this case is ongoing, but the whole objective of today's program is to really understand how social media really shapes the case over time. We've seen it over the times with the Epstein case. We've seen it with a Weinstein case as well too. And now this is the first time ever that we have a prominent figure in the hip hop space of this caliber who's been indicted for this many cases. So if you're not really familiar with what's going on, Diddy has Sean Combs legally has over 120 lawsuits have been filed against him for sexual assault, including assault of minors. So these incidents span from over 25 years, from 1991 to 2003. Many cases allege the victims were drugged at events like out on release parties or all-white parties and then sexually assaulted. Both men and women are plaintiffs, with 25 of them claiming they were minors at the time, right? So these are not adults that we're talking about here. These are kids below like the age of 16 who are dealing with.
Actually, the youngest is 9.
9 years old. Can you believe that? So the plaintiff's lawyer claims to have supporting evidence, so photos, videos, texts, and that some of the victims reported that incidents to the police or hospitals, and that lawsuits may also involve corporate entities, right? So banks, hotels, pharmaceutical companies that were allegedly connected to the assaults. Diddy's response is that he denies all allegations, claiming them false and defamatory. So his legal team emphasizes they're ready to fight the claims in court. And other accusations say that, you know, there are other prominent figures who are involved in this as well too, being involved in the lawsuits, though no names have been revealed yet. But there's a lot of rumors with a lot of people. When you look at different videos, interviews, events, people are connecting the dots together.
Yep.
And there's a whole chain of people who are involved in these things that could face the same outcomes as Diddy if like they get caught. You know, one of them is Jay-Z and Beyonce. There's other actors as well too that, you know, you're going to share with us as well too, at least.
Yeah. Before we continue, we forgot to mention the third voice for the people listening and hear who she is.
Yes. Oh my God, DC.
How dare you?
You know, I thought like she's been so, you know, everyone sees her in the background, you know, Elise and everything like that. But for the first time, we have Elise Ben here. Remember the first time I used to think Elise and Nat were related because her name is Balin and Ben? I was just like,
well, it's funny because even like, so Elise, so if you don't know who Elise is my assistant. So she's been my assistant since 2021 and been on mat leave most of that time.
Yes, I'm aware. Thank you. I'm well aware.
But we're so happy to have Elise back. We were trying to bounce around. So Elise kept talking, we need to talk about Diddy, the next one. She kept saying over and over again. I'm like, she goes, yeah, you have a lot to say. I'm like, do you have a lot to say? And we thought this is a perfect opportunity to introduce her into the DC Talks podcast, even though she's behind the scenes helping us tons. We wanted to showcase and see the things that, see her point of view when it comes to this. So thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we'd love to have you here. But when you're talking about the famous people, right?
Yeah.
So besides that, I sent you guys a video this morning. Did you watch it? Will Smith is a big part of this too, right? And there's a whole controversy where Will actually was grooming Jaden, and they sent him Jada Smith has also sent their son. Which is their son? Will is one of them. What's the son?
Will's the daughter. Jaden Smith.
Jaden Smith. Yeah.
Jaden Smith. Yeah.
And there was apparently there was sex acts happening between him and Justin Bieber at a very young age with P. Diddy.
Yeah.
And you know. And then there's the whole thing, and then Jada tried to pull him out and tried to cover, but there's now it's coming to the surface. It doesn't surprise me. So there's also controversies with Will Smith being homosexual as well, and being in this space and allowing this to happen. There's that whole family is very turbulent too. But the more and more we go into it, everybody is touched by this story. So this is where we're like, there's nothing in Hollywood that's, first of all, nothing is new. Pedophilia has been around for a very, very long time. But now, like you said, it's the hip hop scene, right? So the sexual acts is one thing.
Yeah.
Candace Owen was months and months ago when they're after P. Diddy, when it came out that he was going to get charged with all this stuff. Did you listen to the huge document they had? How they're tying him into murders and coercion with the police and racketeering. And it was like, damn, I only knew about the sex stuff. And I'm like, this is crazy.
There's a lot more.
Yeah. So I'll leave it up to you, Owen. Where do you want to go with this? Because this is so there might be people on the audience who may, like you said, may not know the details and stuff. They've heard about they see something like a funny meme about the baby oil, about how he orders
jokes going around.
There's jokes going around
everywhere.
But even with the baby oil stuff, is a joke because he says he bought it at Costco, and Costco doesn't even carry baby oil.
1,000 bottles.
Yeah, 1,000. Well, the other thing is that they're saying it's laced with something.
So they're saying that it's liquid, like liquid ecstasy, GHB, because it's in liquid form, and GHB can be absorbed through the oils in your skin. It doesn't have to be in pill form or powder form like that. So the people are saying that's the reason they grabbed all these bottles, was because so they can run the lab tests on them to actually see if it is GHB. Because in his Conan O'Brien interview, back in the early 2000s, he was saying that there's alcohol, there's drugs that take place at these parties, and basically that the heat. They don't have air conditioning in his homes for these parties. So he turns the heat up full blast, and so it makes people a little loose, whatever. And using the baby oil, if it actually is GHB, it's going to give them a euphoric, euphoric reaction. And so it's going to make them not really remember and not really understand what's going on. And the whole thing about it is that these people that are supposedly on these tapes, everything is hidden cameras, allegedly. I'm sure
every room of his house had a camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every room of his house had a camera.
Yeah. So I think to that point, it's very unclear whether or not people actually knew they were being filmed. I'm sure some of them did, because let's be honest, like I don't think everyone that was involved can be like, no, I didn't know what was going on and stuff like that.
So let me pull back a little bit. There's a story of a guy, him and his friend were trying to become actors.
Yeah.
And they were eventually it was kind of like an eyes wide shut kind of situation where they're invited to a party. And the reason why this is bringing it up to you. They're invited to this party and they weren't allowed to tell anybody. They were pulled up in the limousine. They all had to wear masks. Very eyes wide shut kind of situation. And in order to get, there are all these things and like things that happen throughout the night, and they're kind of weeding people out. So finally at the end, if you want to be a prominent actor or actress, you had to say this thing, and basically, I don't know if it's denouncing, like, again, the Lord Jesus Christ and all that stuff too, in order to get involved. This guy was the only one saying, I don't want to do it. He pulled out. But he ran around the back and he went to go look at it. So his friend went in and they were doing depraved sexual acts on him with minors, and they're filming the whole thing. And the reason why they do this is they blackmail you. You can never talk about it again. They finally found the guy that he ran out. They brought him home and he thought he was getting prone. So he tried to reach out to his buddy. Hey, what happened last night? So he went and his buddy just, whatever. The guy that went off, he's becoming this actor, and he goes, so he met him in person because he just kind of cut him off because he didn't go. One went through the door, the guy that went through the door. The guy went through the door wanted nothing to do with it and pretend like nothing happened.
Right.
When he met up with them, he said, I saw what you're doing. He goes, he pulled him aside and he goes, get the hell out of here. He goes, never talk about that again. He goes, you could be killed. If this ever comes out, you will be killed. They find out you know about this.
For sure.
You're done. This is what's happening. So we know that Weinstein, we know that Epstein's island was full of cameras. He had multiple tapes on people. Blackmail. That's why why wasn't he ever caught? Well, people can go to the island, do their sexual perversions or like whatever their desires or sexual desires, whatever they want to do with anybody they wanted, right? But they were being recorded. So tit for tat, as long as you can keep doing this stuff, as long as I get what I want. I stay out of jail, I do this. P. Diddy was another form of this.
Right.
So it's been known that in order to get ahead in the hip hop world, you have to do sexual acts to be Diddy. I think it's been known. It's been known to do this. And he was able to do this for so long because nobody talked about it. Like, so what happened to P. Diddy? Who did he piss off is my question.
Yeah.
Because he was blackmailing everybody. So what happened for him now to get all of a sudden the roles reversed, that he's now finally being hopefully brought to justice?
So there's a lot of things that are happening within the business corporate space as well too. Like, so Diddy's been involved in corporate dealings with his network Revolt. He was also involved with Ciroc, which is owned by Diageo, which is one of the most prolific liquor companies out there. They own so many brands that we drink, from gins, spirits, whiskeys, you name it, they own it. So he had a fallout with Diageo and all these other different business entities. And what they discovered is that Diddy doesn't even own some of these companies. He's just a front man for it. People invest in Diddy because he's an amazing promoter, right? If you put Diddy's face behind something and he pushes it out, your brand is going to blow up because he has so much. What's that?
I said not so much now.
Not so much now, right? But he was trying to get involved with certain things and he wanted to reclaim ownership, which really pissed a lot of these higher ups. And these people are behind closed doors. You'll never see them. These are just like old guys with billions and billions of dollars, but Diddy's just the front man making the money. So when Diddy was trying to come out and actually recoup some of this ownership, like, hey, you guys owe me this, he went too far from what I've read, and it really pissed off a lot of people in the background, which started these whole rumblings over time. So when the raid happened, I think 2 months ago it was, right? That was like when everything began to fall because Diddy was just like...
So maybe he was trying to blackmail the billionaires.
The billionaires, exactly.
So because I've said this over and over time, the secular music we have on here is very satanic. They've like we've known the witches have. If you don't believe me, there's people that are in witchcraft. They've prayed over albums that come out, and in order to get the demons in there. So the more you listen to it, and like it sounds crazy, but this is part of it. So in order to have Diddy on there too, it's all part of this ring. I think it's part. You can believe it or not. I am a Christian. I believe that there is demonic stuff happening on there too.
Oh, 100%.
And as long as he fall in line, you can do all the depraved shit you want to do. We get the young people in doing all this crazy stuff. and we're pushing homosexuality out there. You're allowed. It was part of the satanic origin. Like look, a little Nas X. You know, he started off all nice, getting the children involved, and then next thing you know, has a shoe with 666 all over it and demon blood and everything too. And then now there's all the stuff coming out with, you know, Tupac, how he was probably gay, how he was bringing gangster rap into, you know, bringing it. It's supposed to be more feminine, right? So there's apparently the video of him, like what Candace talked about too. I don't know why I keep bringing up Candace Owens, but she keeps popping up.
She's the
feed.
boldest. She's the one who's talking about this.
And it was like, and you see just like Tupac talking about his mom, and he's just like this, and he's just being so feminine and
so flamboyant,
and it's just so flamboyant. You're like, that's supposed to be this gangbanger, and you're like, well, what's going behind the scenes again?
Yeah.
They're introducing homosexuality as a part of it to like a satanic order. So they're allowing him to do this kind of stuff because they wanted it. But now I believe they're putting him in his place. He won't sit a day in jail. They're probably going to try to Epstein him.
Yeah.
Epstein may not be dead, by the way. And if he's dead, he didn't kill himself. But so they may Epstein himself.
Fair enough. I think that with Epstein, he didn't have any family. So I don't think that whatever the list is, we're never going to see the list. Let's be honest. We're never going to see the list of the clientele.
But even with Epstein's Island, this list comes up. People don't do shit about it.
Fair enough. But I feel like Diddy is a little bit more well-known than Epstein, let's say. A lot of people didn't know who Jeffrey Epstein was until the island happened. Like, let's be honest. Nobody knew his name.
Well, because that was
but people know Diddy, right? So what I'm saying.
Well, speaking of people that Diddy knows, who was his best friend? What were you telling me behind the what's the whole thing with Mr. Ashton?
With Mr. Ashton Kutcher, which pains me to say because I grew up loving him.
Wonder why his pretty little face.
He's a very shady character in this as well, along with his buddy Danny Masterson.
So back to the 70s show. And the 70s show was based in Wisconsin. Ashton Kutcher and Danny Masterson became friends on the show. But Danny Masterson was just convicted of sexual assault. Let's put it that way, in a nice way. Multiple women, I believe. And he's hopefully going to be in jail for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Okay, so apparently a lot of the files on Danny Masterson's case kind of go with P. Diddy. They found hidden cameras when he went to sell his house in 2007. There were a bunch of hidden cameras.
In Danny Masterson's house?
In Danny Masterson's house.
Damn, I didn't know that.
He had these similar freak-off parties.
Those I heard about. Yeah, I heard he was.
Yeah. And so the thing with Danny Masterson is he's always been involved in Scientology, and he was always told to recruit Ashton Kutcher into Scientology. Whether or not he did, we don't really know. But it seems a lot of these people that you don't know have connections to Scientology are always trying to recruit people that do. So, for example, Jennifer Lopez's dad was really involved in Scientology, and she was best friends with Leah Remini, who was also involved in Scientology. She's had a documentary come out where she explains everything that happens in it. And it's just funny how...
The TV show is great, by the way. She tries to get people out of Scientology.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
It is really good. But it's just funny how people that you don't think have any involvement in Scientology, actually, it goes back history, and this person and this ancestor are all involved in it. So I think it's all coming full circle. And with Diddy and J-Lo being, engaged to Diddy at one point, I think
they were married?
No. Yeah, I think they dated.
They were engaged.
Well, they have twins, right?
No, that's Kim Porter and Diddy.
Oh, yeah.
I thought
no,
it was J-Lo. Oh, sorry.
No. So they were engaged at one point. I couldn't tell you what year, but they were engaged. But I think that she has a lot more to do with this as well.
J-Lo has more rings than Tom Brady. That's all.
Than the Celtics.
The Celtics.
Legend.
She's got a lot of rings. But so people are now kind of connecting the dots and saying, well, maybe it is more full circle of Scientology and what's happening behind the scenes that we don't know about. I mean, supposedly on these Diddy videos, there's politicians, there's actors, there's singers, there's athletes, all these people that you think are these, you put them on such a pedestal that you think they're these great people, and then to come crashing down and be like, no, actually, like this person's involved. It's the same with the list. Like, we're never going to see that list. I don't think we're ever going to know who's actually on these videos. I know they keep saying they're going to play them in court, but let's be real, they're not going to. And Diddy said that, so Diddy's lawyer has said that he's actually going to come on the stand himself and
I saw that,
explain what happened with the whole Cassie Ventura thing, with the baby oil, with all the stuff that the feds have come across. Now, you can put two and two together and kind of understand, like, why is he going to do that? Why is he going to go on the stand? Because he's got all this protection behind him. I don't think that even if he went to prison, and even if I don't think
Listen, he killed Biggie and he's not in prison. He probably killed Tupac too. I'm throwing it out there too. Like, there's all this documentary.
Even Kim
it's
Porter,
almost
too.
well known that Diddy sold out Biggie long time ago. There's
For
I
sure.
don't even have to talk about it on this show. Like, there's so many things that are pointing to like how the routine changed all of a sudden one night, how he didn't sit beside him, how he knew somebody was coming in, and like everything changed that one night. Like, he knew it was going to happen.
He even
Like,
made shows about it. It's the Netflix show on it right now.
Yeah, exactly. So we don't even have to go into
Well, even
that.
Suge
I
Knight
100% agree that I know that Diddy was part. If he wasn't the main character, he didn't pull the trigger, but he was orchestrated
his people, though.
Exactly, it's people that. Just to let you know, also in the court documents, which are read out before, P. Diddy and his son, I think it was his son, Ren, they killed somebody in their studio and they brought him outside. This tells you how deep this goes.
Yeah.
So when Elise says that he's probably not going to be caught, listen, he shot somebody and killed somebody in his own studio, brought him outside, and now the court documents show that, like, oh, some random stranger got shot outside the studio. They never came inside. They never checked for blood evidence. So P. Diddy paid him off, and it's well known, like, when the paramedics showed up, they came inside and got him. But none of that shows up in the court documents. In the official reports.
Yeah.
This tells you how deep it goes. They would have to pay off the police. They would have to pay off the ambulance. They would have paid off the judges. They would have he would have had to have his hand somewhere above to say, this goes away. So you don't think that
He's connected.
He's connected?
still connected. Even before he got arrested, like, they knew he was going to get arrested. They didn't know what charges he was going to get arrested on, but his lawyer specifically states that, he came willingly to New York because he knew he was going to be charged. And there's video of him like half an hour before he gets arrested, and he's just sitting there laughing, big smile on your face. Now, if you knew that you were going down for all these charges, I don't think you would be laughing unless you have a protection behind you. So with that, what I'm saying is that if he goes to jail, he has so many people in his circle and so many people below him that if whoever the higher ups tried to kill him, or if he killed himself, someone knows where those tapes are. Someone would release those tapes. But I think with the whole Epstein thing, he didn't really have family. He had people around his circle, but if he's going down and he supposedly killed himself, he's going down without a fight. There's no reason for that list to come out, right? But with Diddy, those people in the videos are still very much alive, and if he goes, he has a son who's basically like his direct copy, who could release them. So nothing is going to happen to Diddy. He'll sit in jail for like a day, and then it'll be done with, and something else in the media will happen. And
so what we're saying over here,
Gray's
just
over.
like, this makes me laugh. It's like, in case you don't know what happened to Epstein, and I'm surprised you would by this way. So he was always saying he wasn't going to kill himself, but all of a sudden, one night the guards go in, and the guards can't be found. There's no video. All the video tapes and stuff going missing. There's something happening, and they just miraculously find him hanging in his cell. The official word, right? So if you don't know controversies, there's one controversy that he's still alive because he did what he needed to do. The other thing is like saying maybe they're putting this stuff out there to know this is happening, seeing what people's reaction is, and that he's actually not dead. He's still orchestrating everything that's been behind the scenes.
Probably
He's
living
on an
on his
island.
island.
He's on his island. He doesn't give a shit, right? Same thing. Look at the controversies with Hitler. Same idea, right? Like, so there are people that have said that Hitler never killed himself. They never actually recovered his body. That it was not suicide. It's the same thing over and over again. And he lived into a very ripe age in Argentina. People met Hitler until his 70s, stuff like that too. So it's very plausible that Epstein is still alive and still doing this. It could also be very plausible that the tapes will go missing, and all of a sudden Diddy might be dead, and him and Michael Jackson are hanging out somewhere. I'm throwing it up there.
Yeah, anything's possible.
See that Michael Jackson thing when he came on CNN and he was
The burnt guy?
the burnt
Bob
guy.
Bob?
Yeah, and like they were like saying that's definitely Michael Jackson.
It's 100% Michael
It
Jackson.
definitely is. Have you seen that, Elise?
I've seen it, but there's also pictures and video of Bob beside Michael Jackson. So it's kind of that's one I think it's debunked. I think that I know I understand what you mean.
What after Michael Jackson was supposed
but-
to be dead, and all of a sudden they see him coming out of the SUV, and they pull him out, and then he walks in. And is like I've seen that one too.
Yeah, there's so many different
There's-
clips of people who look like Michael. But I have a question for you guys, right? With everything that's happening, right? We're seeing all these people, men and women, famous athletes who partake in these like sexual perversion activities. What do you think makes them do this, right? So let's say You come into this world as a straight man or woman, and then
Like Matt Rife. Did you hear the controversy of Matt Rife,
no, who's Matt Rife?
the comedian?
Comedian. He's the
You
guy
heard
that
this,
always
right?
calls people out.
So he's
his
a
audience.
pretty face. It's like, so there's two comedians coming up, right? You're asking why they do this. So these the two executives pulled both these comedians aside. They said, listen, you can have a record deal, you can have a stand-up deal within minutes. I'll give it to you. You'll become famous overnight. All you need to do is suck both of our dicks. And one guy starts laughing. He goes, and Matt's already on his knees, and that's it. He's gone publicly to say that Matt was giving oral sex to both of them. And by the time they even finished the sentence, he was already on his knees, already doing it. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, he
Allegedly,
allegedly,
guys. Throwing that out.
But like,
again, I'll throw that. I'm just saying that's. So why are you people doing this? They want to get ahead. They don't care. They may have more. Listen, that may be the only thing they have going in their lives. Maybe their whole thing is just to be famous.
But to that, Diddy's already famous. Diddy already has.
Well,
money
Diddy
in the
became
world.
famous. No, it's not him. So then it becomes power for him.
That's
He's
what I
got
mean,
power
yeah.
over people. But he's asking why people do this. Why would they do a sexual act? No. Once you get in there, they go, think about it. It's like a pyramid scheme, right? Why do you think?
Yeah.
You know, have you ever listened to Kevin Hart when they start talking about saying he was on what's her name, Kelly Clark, and just like, oh, you know, Illuminati. He's just like, and there's all these videos about him just telling people to shut up, because think about it, if you can get other people like underneath him, it's a pyramid scheme, right?
Yeah.
So Diddy's probably, he's not even at the top, but he's the top over certain people, and you get people like they get more power.
so what you're saying is like there's different levels to this. So let's say
100%.
No. So this is for the audience to listen to, right? Because there's a baseline. Okay, you want to get this role? Okay, you're gonna have to get on your knees, right? So that's like level 10. Level 9, it might be something else. So the more you keep, hey, come back here. You want this next deal? Come back and do it again. So have you noticed too that over the past 25, 30 years, it's the same famous people all the time?
Yeah.
Like the Brad Pitts, Angelina Jolie, George Clooney, the same top tier celebrities. It's like there's never any new fresh blood. And if they do come in with a new fresh blood, they're already gone. Like,
Yeah.
they're one-hit wonders.
Well,
maybe they can't take it for long.
Well, not even that. Have you seen the ones there's all of these people, why do they keep pushing these actors? There's certain actors, or we'll say female and male actors, we'll call them.
They get
They're
propped
not
up.
even that good.
Yeah.
They might be going, and they're like, why do they, you ever see those shows like, well, this is a flop, then they push him, they put him in another thing, and they put him in another, and all of a sudden they just don't go anywhere. Josh Hartnett was one of those. Remember,
Yeah.
like he was good in one movie, and then they kept pushing and pushing, and they were like, he was okay, but I'm just using him as an example. But there's other guys. I forget the guy that was in that movie was a flop, where he was like Tarzan. And I forget the name of it. And he was supposed to be the next big thing, and they kept pushing. He's a terrible actor. And we're like, I remember saying to Natalie before we got into conspiracy, like, why do they keep pushing this guy? Or there's TV shows. I'm like, he'd have a flop of a TV show, and you see him on the next TV show. I'm like, he just flopped on the TV show. Why do they keep giving him these roles? Well, because he's done something in which they're like, okay, well, you know, this won't work. I'm like, we promised you stardom. They'll keep giving him something until he start or until he flops. We'll give you 5 chances. You know, like if you perform fellatio on this dude and another sexual act on this dude, we'll give you 5 opportunities to do this. You know, like it's got to be something like that.
That's why even in the Cat Williams interview when he came out, I don't know if you've seen it with Shannon Sharp.
No, I haven't.
But Cat Williams and
You didn't
Shannon
watch that article? They even
was-
spoofed them on SNL.
Yeah,
It was great.
they had like
I
the
have 2
most.
kids. I don't have time.
Yeah, of course, but they had the most famous interview on YouTube of all time.
All time.
Most watched
Okay,
YouTube.
so maybe I've seen clips of it.
Surpassed Rogan. I think it's like at 60-something million views right now for a whole interview, and there's different parts. But he was saying that some of these people are installed, right? And he gave this whole idea of Kevin Hart that how does this guy come from Philly?
I was watching that today.
Yeah, and he has a special already, right? And he's
It's debunked.
it's debunked. Oh, what do you mean? Go to another one.
Go to another
Another
example.
person.
Oh, okay. But pretty much in this interview, he's talking about like all these famous comedians and everything like that and what they've done. And a lot of them, you think that to make it into that level, there's some level of merit involved. Like you come into this space, you earn your stripes like anybody else. But he was saying that's not how Hollywood works at all. Like there's a certain level you can get to. But after that, if you really want to touch the limelight, the fame and everything, the fortune, the stuff they do behind closed doors is insane. So what he was saying is just like these things.
Well, there's also a level they have to degrade you, and there's public shaming.
Yeah, and they record it.
So listen, we're the reason why that Yeezy went up and ripped on Taylor Swift. Remember that? And you'd rip on her, which I can't stand her. And then later on, she was wearing red because to symbolize she was sacrificed. That was her sacrifice. Was able to be. Remember, he came on saying Beyonce should have won this and all that kind of stuff. Do you remember that?
I have something to say about that after you're done. Yeah.
Well, and then another degrading of people is like we're talking about this in our other podcast too. How they make the black men always wear a dress. From Medina to The Rock to Kevin Hart,
LeBron.
They tried to get Dave Chappelle to wear a dress in one of those movies. I forget which movie with Martin Lawrence. And there's a whole scene. He's like, "Yeah, it's gonna be great."
Is it Big Mama?
Yeah, I think it was Mama's House. Or it was
Big Mama's House. Yeah.
Mama's House.
And they were trying to go, "It's great. Like you're gonna pretend to be Poloni, like you're gonna be a prostitute. It's be great." He's like, "I don't want to." He wouldn't budge. He wouldn't. So Dave Chappelle wouldn't play the game. And all of a sudden he's like, so funny. They're like, "But it's so funny. Everybody else has done it." He goes, "Well, if everybody else has done it, it's already been overplayed. Why do I have to do it?" And finally, they gave in. He wasn't going to wear the dress. Within seconds, they had a second script. They already knew like they had another alternative, which was just as funny for him not to wear a dress. But the Hollywood wants to see, and I've heard this from Cat Williams. He says it a lot too. All the black men that always made it to a certain level all have to wear a dress. Well, I don't know if Morgan Freeman's wearing a dress, but he just has the cool voice. Yeah, he's just like his voice. His voice.
He's like God.
He's the God. Yeah. Hey, he did play God, or was he the devil in that movie when he plays God with Bruce Almighty? Yeah. But anyway,
that guy's been the same.
He's supposed to be God, but they actually said the spin on is actually he's the devil.
But yo, have you seen a video of Morgan Freeman as like a young actor? Like exactly. I'm like, where did this guy just come out from? He's been
geez, he's a vampire. Grandpa. You saw pictures of him in the 1900s. Looks exactly the same. Well, remember, I'm doing that as a tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
But that's a totally different story. We talk about clones.
You can say that about Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift is definitely a clone. Anton LaVey's
I think Kevin Hart came and says, "Hey, I have clones. I have clones." I'm like,
yeah.
People think he's joking, but
we've said this before. He's a clone of where he is now. Like, there's no way he's the same person. There's
Kanye even
way.
said that if he disappeared after the divorce and he came back, it wasn't him. So I mean, do with that information what you will. But
hasn't he talked about it? Like, have we heard from him at all about P Diddy? I'm sorry, I didn't check out. Like, has he said anything?
Yeah.
He's touring around the world.
On his own little island.
Okay.
But isn't it funny how you think Kanye West, who never shuts up about anything, and this comes out, he doesn't say anything?
No, because
a lot. Maybe he's indicted. He's maybe the one's doing the sexual acts.
He came out and said all these things, right? And he was saying he was being called crazy, right? Remember back?
Oh, that's true. You're right. Yeah, right.
4 years ago, he's trying to like put people on, but he was being chastised for his belief. Like everything was.
Kanye's been doing this for a long time. You remember the special with him and Mike Myers?
Yeah.
He's been doing that. Since the beginning.
Yeah.
You're
Even
right.
with
Sorry,
George Bush.
Sorry, I misspoke. I forgot about all that, guys.
Yeah.
The people that you think are crazy that are saying these things, I mean, they've probably experienced, like even Orlando Brown. I mean, the list goes on, but Orlando Brown has been deemed crazy because he's been a drug addict and whatever. But he was also a child actor, right? He obviously saw some shit and it severely messed him up.
Is it Nickelodeon or like Disney?
That's so Raven.
That's so Raven.
That's Raven,
Disney.
right? But that was at Disney and Nickelodeon, something like that.
She was a child actor though.
Yeah.
Raven?
Yeah. He was.
He was a child actor.
He was a child actor.
Yeah. And Massey too.
Yeah.
What's his? Kyle Massey. Yeah.
That's his brother.
We should probably give you I don't know if people can hear. Poor Isaac's talking in the background. He's giving us things to talk about. And I don't know if you guys can hear him. He's got some good information. We should throw you a mic next time.
Yeah.
But yeah, just saying that, like everyone that you think are all these crazy people are coming out with factual information, and it's kind of, in a way, it's kind of predictive programming because they're telling you these things and they're kind of just being like laughed off, like, yeah, okay, haha, like Diddy has all these crazy parties, baby oil this, like. Even like, again, going back to the Conan interview, he said like to have a good time, you have to lock these women in a room. And people were like, oh, haha, this is so funny. But when you really look at it, it's like, what? And like people are going back and watching all this stuff now. And like it's been in plain sight. And I think that's the main thing here is it's always in plain sight.
We talked about this in the back room, like the Harvey Weinstein stuff. People were talking about in Oscars over and over again. Like I was saying how bad he was. And like, oh, we had to kiss Harvey Weinstein's ring before we were able to do this. We had to, like, they were joking about it. Like everybody in the room was in on the joke. Exactly. Us, the audience, had no idea that everybody knew that he was a pedophile. Not a pedophile. He was just this depraved human being.
Yeah.
So this has been going on for Hollywood for a long time, to the point that The Simpsons, it was on The Simpsons about the P Diddy parties. And again, you've seen that. Have you guys seen that about the P Diddy parties? They predicted, like they show
this.
The Simpsons again was at it. They show everything on The Simpsons.
I feel like it's a whole script they're just playing.
Of course, right?
Yeah.
So they've, like, honestly, it's like at this point, it's like, if you don't think that Hollywood is messed up, like, why do we watch this shit? Like, how much are we entertained at this point? Is it really necessary for our lives?
No, I feel like we're part of a big movie. Like, I think we are like that movie with Jim Carrey where he's stuck in Truman Show. So I
There you
feel
go.
my thinking.
Oh,
when I
that
see-
he lives in a dome in the firmament?
right, comes crashing. So these guys, these Hollywood, there's a whole production going on, and we're just the characters.
You ever have that feeling that might actually be true?
Absolutely.
And every single one of us is like playing our own role. Like I've done this on my videos. It's like, you're the main character in your own story, right? And it's funny because your main character may not interact with some, but in their own story, they're their own main character. What if God has set it up that way? Maybe you are. This is something happening. But maybe your experience is much different. Maybe you are a figment of my imagination, and that this is you're playing a role in my mind, but you may be somewhere else, something like totally different, right?
Yeah. They're saying like whenever you leave a room, right, everything that where you existed, it's as if it doesn't exist, because they're talking about like eyesight in itself is just light pretty much emanating from your brain.
All right, we're getting a little esoteric
guys,
here. Okay,
this is
let's
too
wrap
deep.
this up.
Yeah.
So we're getting close to the end here about P Diddy. So what are your predictions is going to happen for P Diddy? Let's go into
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
that. Okay,
Calling
so,
it as it's absolutely
so, but what do you,
nothing.
so I think here's what's going to. So my opinion is he's going to be charged, but he's going to do like some community service, and he's not going to actually see a jail cell. That's what I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be a lot of hearsay. No one's going to come up and actually say anything in court that can indict him.
What do we think he's going to say, though, for like when he's speaking?
He's going to deny
on his own?
everything. Hey,
No,
like
his
Shaggy.
lawyer-
Wasn't me.
His lawyer said
Wasn't me.
that he has a
Saw
whole
you in the
story.
shower.
and-
Wasn't me.
Okay, we get it. His lawyer said that he has
Wasn't
a
me.
whole story behind the Cassie Ventura thing, and it caused a lot of heartbreak for him and a lot of heartbreak for her. And I think he's going to paint this picture of he is the way he is because people made him this way. So I think we're going to get that
I think
side
he's
of
going to
things.
spin it like the parties had people happen on their own. I put the cameras there because I was worried about people stealing stuff. That might be against the law. So sure, charge me for that. But I didn't force anybody to do any of this kind of stuff. So unless people I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with him, he's possibly going to admit that he did have like intercourse with other men, but I think that's going to be perceived differently now because the culture of what we are right now is like, okay,
No one cares about
no one
that.
cares about
Yeah.
that, right? So like, okay, like, oh, Diddy, you're gay. Okay, we can't criticize him because now everything is about. It's
So you
still
think
about.
he's going to come out?
He's gonna come out and be like, yeah, like over time, I just became comfortable with my sexuality, and everybody's now comfortable with sexuality. So we do this in closed doors, and we didn't want the world to know because of our image. But
I
now
would roll my
I can
eyes
actually,
so bad at that
I can
stuff
actually be
Embrace
comfortable
it.
and embrace it. But this was consent between two men and everything like that. We were afraid to come out with it because of what the world would think about us, because what the world was back in the 90s. But now, I know you guys are seeing this. It looks bad, but this is what happened. But it was consensual. At the
I
time.
keep thinking of that SVU
No way.
with
There's no way?
Ice-T. You ever seen that?
I
Never
like
seen that
that.
SVU like episode where all the guys were playing poker and they would have like sex in the back. The two guys, the black guys, would have sex in the back room. He's like, I love my wife. I just have sex with men. Like that makes you gay. That's what keeps running in my mind because back in the early 2000s, late 90s, that was the mentality.
Yeah.
We knew it was happening. I think that was actually what these parties were. It's alluding to that.
Exactly.
So I don't think
Yeah.
anything's going to happen from it.
Yeah.
But
He's not going to go to jail.
to
Wrap this up.
to wrap it
We
up,
said
I
that
like
already.
last question. What do you think the legacies of these people and people who are rumored to be involved?
Nothing's
right?
going to happen to them.
Nothing's gonna happen. Do you
What's-
think the media machine is so like next news,
So
next news?
what's
that's
gonna
be
what's gonna
covered
happen?
up?
So somebody comes out and said, "Yeah, you had sex with P Diddy. He forced himself." I'm like, okay. Like I made my record deal. What do you think's gonna happen to them? Why would anything change?
That's like if Taylor Swift came tomorrow and be like, "Yeah, like this what happened." Will the
Why do you bring
Swifties?
her up again? I'm like, it's just
No,
not.
why would I break? Will the Swifties like leave Taylor Swift?
No,
No.
no.
Beyonce just lost like 6 million followers over.
She should lose more.
She should lose more.
Lose them all.
And before I lose my point here, I want to say this when you brought up the whole Kanye taking away the award from Taylor. There's rumors around that Beyonce is a big controller of what's going on right now. And even when people accept their Grammys and everything, they have to praise Beyonce. Adele did it. Taylor Swift did it. So if Kanye didn't do what he did with Taylor...
She's the new Queen Witch, buddy. It used to be Madonna.
I know, but what I'm trying to say is, like, if you don't give Beyonce her flowers in your acceptance speech, like, or give her acknowledgement, essentially you will get, like, something's going to happen to you. So that's why Kanye actually was doing that to Taylor, because he was doing her a favor. It wasn't actually to take away from Taylor's moment.
I read something totally different, but
I'll send you a video.
I don't deny it. I'm just
Yeah.
saying. I heard it was with the sacrifice. Everyone has to be humiliated. Everything. Well, guys, we appreciate you tuning in this week. We can talk about this topic for a lot and go into
Yeah, we
other
gotta
topics.
get a part two going.
We got tangents. Do your usual spiel. Like, where do you want to follow?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, we'd love to get your thoughts on this. This is a very touchy subject, and of course, it's evolving in real time. But please engage and let us know what your thoughts are. One of the key things is, like, these are a lot of people we grew up watching and listening to and idolizing, and it's a big wake-up call that the people you idolize, they might not really be who you think that they are, but engage. Let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, share, anything real estate related.
And let us know if you want us to bring Elise back next time.
Yeah, Elise, make her a trio. I think you had a great voice to the pod. So
Thanks.
Yeah.
this was
Appreciate
really
it.
this was
Maybe
really
a voice of
refreshing.
reason. If it's
We'll do a part two, guys.
We
We'll
need
do
like a
part
little
two.
vibe. We need someone to come in between, like, hey guys, But yeah, listen. Thanks for watching. Let us know your thoughts, and we'll see you next week for
Peace.
episode 95 with Mr. Rahman. And yeah, we're gonna go get some sushi. Have a great week. Talk to you soon. Ciao.
Bye, guys.